Hello all, welcome back. So in the previous session, what we have seen is how to write a constructor. So we want if we want a desired object, then we go for a constructor. So if we don't write a constructor, what was happening? It was creating a default state, the object with a default state. So object with the default state is, so even though if, so see this object we have created, see for all the state attributes, it will assign the default values. So if you don't want default values, then we have to go for constructors. So the constructor syntax and all we have seen in the previous session. If you have not seen the previous session, please do watch. So constructors is the topic. So now we have little more things in constructors. So we'll see. I will remove this constructor and go back to the old state. So this is the thing which we had, right? So what I will do is, so here also it is, we are creating an object, right? But we are not passing any value, which means it is calling a constructor. See, in Java, without constructor, we cannot construct an object. So be it is you're passing the parameters or not passing the parameters. So here I am not passing the parameters, which means it is calling a constructor which is having a default constructor. But we have not written anything here. So how is it working? So what we will do is, so it is something happening internally. So that we wanted to know what is happening internally. We wanted to know. How do we know that? So let us go to our source code and then compile it again because as we have changed now. So I am compiling the person.java now. Only person.java has been changed, right? Even in manager.java also has changed. Okay, let us compile both, right? I have compiled both the classes. Now let me see what is the content of person.java, right? So the content of person.java, if I open from Notepad++, will I be able to understand? I cannot understand because this is completely bytecode. So what I will do, in Java provides one method actually. Sorry, Java provides one command. I'm very sorry. So Java P is the command. Java parsing. So Java P is one more command. So for how many commands we know? So far we know two commands, which is Java C, which is compiler, Java compiler, and the second one is Java. Java is Java virtual machine or JVM. So it is JVM, Java virtual machine. Okay. And now what are we saying? Java P. Java P is Java parsing. So to parse a dot class file, we are going to use Java P. So what do we need to pass now? Person dot class. So here we have to give dot class also. So if you see here, carefully if you observe, it is printing the person dot compiled form. Okay. So class person and then java.lang.string name, java.lang.string gender, int age, person. This line we have not written. See, this is okay. Java.lang we have not written, but string we have declared. So compiler is doing the job. So java.lang we have not written. Compiler is doing the job. Int age we have written. We never declared this person. So and void speak we have written. So this is the new thing which we are observing it, right? This person, this one, right? This is the new thing which we are observing it. So when you compile any class, you take any class, you write any class, the compiler will check in that class, is there an constructor or not? While compilation, the compiler will check, is there a constructor in this class? No, if there is no constructor, okay, let me put a default constructor on behalf of the person. So this will put a default constructor. So it is putting a default constructor. So that is the reason in my previous program. So in the program here, even though we have not declared a constructor, we are able to create an object, right? So even though we have not declared a constructor, we are able to create an object because of the only reason is compiler has created a constructor for you. So if any class, not only person class, any class when you write, if there is no constructor inside the class, then compiler will put a constructor and then compile it. Okay, this is a Java rule 1. So every class in Java will have a constructor, be it say you have written a constructor. If you don't write the constructor, then compiler will put a constructor. So what is the thumb rule in Java? Every class will have constructor. Without constructor, there won't be any class. So even main method, what we have, main manager class, what we have written here, we have not written any um, constructor. See, if you want, you can see that also. So go to classes and Java P, so manager. See here also it has put manager is a constructor, default constructor. So if you don't put the constructor, then it will create a constructor for you. Who will be creating? The compiler will put a default constructor if there is no constructors in the class. This is a very important note. If there is no constructor, notice if there is no constructor, then only compiler will put a default constructor. Default constructor. Otherwise, it will not put. That's the job of compiler. So what is the note? Note is, so if there is no constructor, then only it is going to put a default constructor. If there is no constructor, then only if there is no constructor, then only compiler will put a default constructor. If there is a constructor, then it will not put. So that we will check it. Okay. So now I will just do Control Z. I have got the person.java here. Okay. Now let us see. Let us compile. So we have to compile, right? So I'm in SRC now. So I am going to compile person.java. Okay. So now go to classes and check again Java P person class. So if you see now, if you observe now, we have a person, but it is having 3 parameters. There is no default constructor, right? If there is a constructor already present in the class, then it will not put a default constructor. Got it, guys? So now, so as because we have changed this class, so now let us compile this manager also and see there will be a error it will throw. I will show you. It's very interesting. That will be very interesting. Now I am compiling manager. So I am compiling manager.java. So this will throw one error. All compilation things are errors, not exceptions. All compilation things are errors, not exceptions. So if you see here, error, constructor P in class person cannot be applied to given types. So what are we doing, guys, here? Let us understand. So what are we doing? Person now I equals to new person. What is the way of creating object here? With default constructor. Do we have default constructor inside person.java now? We don't have default constructor. What is the constructor we have? We have a parameterized constructor which is accepting 3 parameters. So what are we creating now? Here we are trying to create an object using a default constructor. But my default constructor is not the earlier case. If there is no constructor in my class, then compiler will put a constructor. Now in this case, I have put the constructor, then compiler will not put a default constructor, but I am trying to create an object using a default creation. So that's the reason it was throwing an error. So what we need to do, we have to pass the parameters like this. This is one way, or we have to declare one. We have to declare one default constructor like this. Either of the ways it should work. So I will not declare this first. So this we have seen already. So this in the previous session, getting the default desired state of an object using the constructor, we have seen it was working, right? So now what I will do, I'll remove this and then put a default constructor here to show you guys. So here we are not doing anything. So again we get a default state of an object. So now this time it should not give me errors. So now I have compiled, I have changed both the classes. What do I need to do? I need to compile both of them. First I need to compile person.java because manager is dependent on person. And then so I have to compile manager.java. Fine guys. Now let us run this. So this time it should not give me any error. So this time I don't want Java P, so Java manager. So I should not pass dotless. So this is giving all my default state of an object. Now it did not give me any error. So I hope this will help you guys. There will be so many people, even though they were working 10 years, 8 years, they might be confusing this, okay? They will scratch their head. Why you see there is, I am creating my object, but it is not creating, it is giving error. This is the reason, guys. So please subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. So my channel name is Happy Tech Trainings. Please subscribe to my channel and share it to your friends. Please provide me the comments if you feel that I have to improve somewhere. Okay, thank you.